Hey, what's up, everybody? It's BDO44 coming at you with another video. Okay, so we know for a fact that Trey Young will not be playing in Game 4. As I said, no news had come out at all. But when I made my last video, I had said to you guys that I believed that there was a chance that Trey wouldn't play. The way that he continued to run around out there instead of going in the back getting treatment, I felt like when you see that happen, chances are more damage is being done. And that's why I made such a big deal out of it. You cannot, even though it's only a few minutes, once you start the process of recovery, it's an around the clock process. It includes sleep, treatment, icing, and all the other stuff that comes with it. So for those who are saying, well, it really didn't matter because if it wasn't bad enough to re-injure, the game was so important that he should probably still be playing. What's the difference between him leaving at the 3-minute mark and waiting for it and then starting treatment there? Well, the difference is, as I said, treatment is around the clock. So as soon as the injury takes place, the organization has a decision to make. Either they're going to allow him to run around there and risk it getting worse, or they can remove him from the game and immediately get him back there with the trainers to start that process. From watching the Lakers, the reason why I believe that I kind of understand how this works is because we have the best in the business in Gary Vitti. And I saw how the process of injuries went. You're a Laker fan. You've been watching as long as I have. You've seen all the injuries. You've seen them all. You've seen them twice. And you know what needs to be done. You've had Kobe here, and he had all the injuries. He played through all of them. We saw Gary Vitti come up with contraptions that he created off top. He invented contraptions that would allow Kobe Bryant to play through some of these injuries. So it's a little different here in LA when you're a Laker fan. We kind of get this stuff a little more than some. And with LeBron James on our team, we just continue to have this same practice where we know the importance of removing the player from the game and get treatment right away. It's not something that you just want to wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, none of that. If it's an ankle or if it's something that a guy has to try to recover from and he's trying to play the next game, you don't at all take time out away from his treatment. You immediately get to treating it as soon as it happens. Atlanta did not handle this properly. I believe, due to the nature of the injury, had they done so, there would be a better chance of him playing tonight. Especially given the fact that he ran around on it for another 2-3 minutes after hurting it. 2 or 3 basketball minutes, which is probably more like 10 minutes of real time. I am telling you guys that I don't believe the Atlanta Hawks can win a single game without Trey Young. At all. Against the Bucks team that is starting to get momentum, who's starting to feel themselves. They're up 2-1 in this series with another game to play in Atlanta and no Trey Young. And to me, the Atlanta Hawks are extremely deficient of a basketball team without Trey Young because he is the head of the snake as it pertains to their scoring. He's the guy that does the boatload of their passing. And most importantly, he's the heart and soul of the team. Now, I believe that the catalyst for what they do is Clint Capella, but unfortunately, Clint Capella can't affect what he needs to affect to provide scoring for this team, especially given the fact that you have Middleton, who's had a very good game coming off of obviously the best game of his life, Giannis, who has his scoring punch, he's getting it going, Drew Holiday, who's coming off a bad game. You don't expect him to string 2 of those in a row. This is just a bad time to not have 25 points and 10 assists. It's a very bad time to not have that on the floor in Trey Young. So I don't see the Milwaukee Bucks losing any more games in this series. If Trey Young's not able to play in the next game, the Hawks will lose that one as well as this one. I just don't expect anything other than that. I made a video last night expressing to you guys that I had somewhat of a epiphany about the Milwaukee Bucks, and that epiphany was, even though Budenholzer does things that are unorthodox, it's a strategy in and of itself that he does, because what he is a very difficult coach to game plan against because he's unpredictable and unorthodox. It's like boxing a lefty going up against him if you're a coach, because you really don't know what adjustments he's going to do, and because his players are inconsistent, that makes it even double difficult to try to go up against him. Maybe you're game planning for Middleton to go off for 40. He only shoots 9 shots. Maybe you're game planning for Drew Holiday to go off for 25, and he ends up going off 2 for 11, but has 11 assists. Like, those are the type of things coupled with the unorthodox nature of how Budenholzer sets up his lineups and the rotations that he uses. It's just very difficult to figure out what to react to. It's hard to dance with a coach that isn't reacting to what you're doing. And what I mean by dance is making adjustments and things of that nature. So the epiphany was that it's very difficult to go up against them because of it, and that the Atlanta Hawks are at a disadvantage. Not only due to that nature, but because of the fact that they, of course, are dealing with Trey Young's injury and have no answer for Giannis Antetokounmpo, and appear to have no answer for Chris Middleton either. What you have out there in that Atlanta Hawks team, unfortunately, is a lack of wing defenders right now. And they've been able to get away with it because Trey Young somewhat neutralizes the offensive energy of a Giannis Antetokounmpo. He can match him point for point. So it does offset it a little bit because you just concede the fact that Giannis is going to end up doing whatever he's going to do, and that Trey Young, coupled with the other shooting offensive players that you have on your team, can just make up the difference. So it's cool, you know what I mean? It's like you can see yourself competing with this team even though Giannis is primed to go off every night. But if you don't have Trey Young to offset that scoring balance, it's not going to look any different offensively, but what's going to end up happening is the Hawks are going to have a harder time scoring. That's what's going to end up happening. Lou Williams is obviously going to be called upon to be big. And if he turns into Lou Williams, which we know he still has some of that in the tank, he can definitely provide not all of what Trey can do, but on his best night, he can give you all of what Trey can do in terms of the scoring. That's for sure. So it would be a great time for him to tap into that and start doing some of that stuff that Lou Williams was doing with us. When he was a Laker, if he could turn back into that Lou Williams that I had on my squad when we weren't doing anything, that Lou Williams can help the Atlanta Hawks tonight a lot. But I don't know if he has that in the tank anymore. I just don't know that. Bojan Bogdanovic, it would be a great time for him to snap out of his shooting slump. Obviously, he's nursing back from injury as well, hasn't had a chance to recover. It's another situation where I think Atlanta probably hasn't handled the injury properly. And that stuff matters, man. You could have the best coach in the world and a super talented team. But as we're seeing, as I'm illustrating to you right here and now, if you mismanage injuries, if you mismanage rotations, it nullifies some of those advantages that you have with the roster and the coaching. So, yeah, Atlanta is probably not going to get to the finals, not because they didn't have what they needed to win, but because as an organization they mismanaged these little things. And it's got them at a disadvantage with three games into this series. Now, there's a lot of basketball left to play. With that being said, we've seen stranger things happen. Yesterday, I felt just as strongly about the Clippers losing the game because they didn't have Zubats, and I didn't see anybody being able to rebound over Ayton, who's playing like a monster. Ayton came back, didn't really play that well, and the Clippers only missed a rebound, one rebound off from tying up the rebound total with the team. They managed to make it up somehow. And the Atlanta Hawks are similar to the LA Clippers in the sense that they come back from big deficits. They are comeback kids. They keep fighting. They have a lot of defensive presence, despite having that weakness in the defensive wing positions at this point, in my opinion, which kind of sucks for them because they do have the right players on the roster. They're just not playing right now. They have DeAndre Hunter, and they also have the other kid, too, that they drafted a few years back. He's also a defensive player like DeAndre Hunter at the wing spot. So what they need, they have. They just don't have it available. And unfortunately, they're a little thin because of it. So Bojan's going to be important. Obviously, Kevin Huerter, he's going to have a stellar evening tonight. And they're going to just need to get it from everybody. They're going to need to have a Clipper-type performance in order to overcome the absence of Trey Young. And we're going to have to see if Nate McMillan is able to get the most out of those guys in that regard. But from what we saw already, they were having a hard time stopping Milwaukee, and they were also having a hard time scoring themselves. And without Trey Young, that's going to be more of the same, in my opinion. I just don't know where the production will be coming from this evening. I know where it needs to come from, but I'm not sure if those players are prepared for that type of production, especially without the draw that is Trey Young, taking attention away from the defenders that are facing them. Now those guys are going to have even more defense on them with more pressure to perform well. So it's very difficult. They're home, though, so if you have to go through something like that, at least it's in your building. So, yeah, man, with that being said, I don't know. Milwaukee's in a very prime position to get to the finals. The excuses are becoming less and less available to a guy like Giannis. You have to get out of this series. I expect him to go completely off tonight. This is his game. This is his game. Like I said, there's nobody on that Hawks team that can even look at him funny. He was cooking John Collins in the last game consistently, and will continue to, as far as I can tell. So that's that. No Trey Young, no chance in my opinion. That's it. Bucks in what? 5? Like, they're gonna win 2 straight games if Trey Young can't come back and be himself. It ain't enough for Trey Young to come back. He has to come back and have the speed. He has to come back and have his shot ready. He has to come back and have a swagger. And if he's not 100%, that's how that goes. It's the end of the story. It's the end of the road for the Atlanta Hawks. So very disappointing for me as somebody who's going for the Atlanta Hawks to win at least the East. What can I say? You follow me, you know how I feel about the Bucks. So at this point, we'll just continue to watch. Like I said, the Clippers gave us hope that the impossible is still possible. And if you have a fighting team with a bunch of dogs that are ready to go, you can beat a team that may be in a position now to outplay you, with more talent on the floor. So that's what I saw. That gives me hope. Thank you guys for watching. My name is BDL44. Enjoy the game. I'm out.